هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا حن قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا حن قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا يا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا يا هلا ويا هلا ويا.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Saturday edition of Let's Talk with me, Julie Alli. We're coming to you live from our Sunning Hill studios right here in Johannesburg, and we do hope you're going to keep us company till 10 o'clock this morning. On the show today, we have Claudine Hoffenshaw. She's here to talk about have and share, her journey through Moby G, and also career exploration. And then a dynamic young Muslimah, she is Anissa Mazim Parker. She'll be talking to us about social justice in education. Now today we've decided to do something slightly different, and we thought we'll give you a bit of a break, a bit of a reprieve, inshallah, and start the morning in a very sublime way by listening to a collection of some of our favorite nasheeds, which we hope you're going to enjoy as well. So for the next while, we'll be taking to a listen to nasheeds whilst you in bed enjoying your first cup of coffee, and later on the program, Claudina and Anissa will be joining us talking about their areas of expertise. So please do stay with us till 10 o'clock. Enjoy the nasheeds, and we do know you're going to enjoy the interviews as well.
Little child, crazy things I used to do, and all the pain I put you through. Mama, now I'm here for you, for all the times I made you cry, the days I told you lies. Now it's time for you to rise, for all the things you sacrificed. Oh, if I could turn back time, rewind, if I could make it undone, I swear that I would make it up to you. Mom, all grown up now, it's a brand new day. I'd like to put a smile on your face every day. Mom, all grown up now, and it's not too late. I'd like to put a smile on your face every day. And now I finally understand your famous line about a day I'd face in time. 'Cause now I got a child of mine, and even though I was so bad, I've learned so much from you. Now I'm trying to do it too. Love my kid the way you do. Oh, if I could turn back time, rewind, if I could make it undone, I swear that I would make it up to you. Oh, if I could turn back time, rewind, if I could make it undone, I swear that I would make it up to you. Mom, all grown up now, it's a brand new day. I'd like to put a smile on your face every day. Mom, all grown up now, and it's not too late. I'd like to put a smile on your face every day. You know you are the number one for me. You know you are the number one for me. You know you are the number one for me. Oh, oh, number one for me. You know you are the number one for me. You know you are the number one for me. You know you are the number one for me. Oh, oh, number one for me. There's no one in this world that can take your place. Oh, I'm sorry for ever taking you for granted. Oh, I will use every chance I get to make you smile whenever I'm around you. Now I will try to love you Turn back time, rewind if I could. Make it undone, I swear that I would. I will make it up to you. Mom, all grown up now. It's a brand new day. I'd like to put a smile on your face every day. Mom, all grown up now, and it's not too late. I'd like to put a smile on your face every day. Mom, all grown up now. It's a brand new day. I'd like to put a smile on your face every day. Mom, all grown up now, and it's not too late. I'd like to put a smile on your face every day. The number one for me. The number one for me. The number one for me. Oh, oh, number one for me. Little child, crazy things I used to do, and all the pain I put you through. Mama, now I'm here for you, for all the times I made you cry, the days I told you lies. Now it's time for you to rise, for all the things you sacrificed.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, this is your brother Maher Zain. For my latest news and updates, join me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter. Salam.
Now it's a brand new day. I'd like to put a smile on your face every day. Mom, all grown up now, and it's not too late. I'd like to put a smile on your face every day. And now I finally understand.
ابتسم للناس وارسم بالامل وجه الحياة. ابتسم للناس وارسم بالامل وجه الحياة، وانسى همك دام ربك يسمع كلام دعيت. ما يدوم الحال مهما طال يا بنادم مداه، كل شي وله نهاية دام كل به بديت. ابتسم للناس وارسم بالامل وجه الحياة، وانسى همك دام ربك يسمع كلام دعيت. ما يدوم الحال مهما طال يا بنادم مداه، كل شي وله نهاية دام كل به بديت. انهي الحزن وتعلم كيف تتعامل معاه، ابتلاءك من محبة ولا يعني ما دريت. عانق احلامك بكلمة الله يسمع من رجاه. قوم يلا قول يلا هذا انا جيت ورجيت. عانق احلامك بكلمة الله يسمع من رجاه. قوم يلا قول يلا هذا انا جيت ورجيت. لا تخلي الهم يصنع منك واحد من بغاه، من تعامل سوء تدري مو عليه انت ربيت. ابتسم للناس واضحك دوم في وجه الحياة، قبل تندم 1000 مرة بعدها ما تفيد ليت. لا تخلي الهم يصنع منك واحد من بغاه، من تعامل سوء تدري مو عليه انت ربيت. ابتسم للناس واضحك دوم في وجه الحياة، قبل تندم 1000 مرة بعدها ما تفيد ليه. ابتسم للناس وارسم بالامل وجه الحياة، وانسى همك دام ربك يسمع كلام دعيت. ما يدوم الحال مهما طال يا بنادم مدى، كل شي وله نهاية دام كل به بديت. ابتسم للناس وارسم بالامل وجه الحياة، وانسى همك دام ربك يسمع كلام دعيت. ما يدوم الحال مهما طال يا بنادم مدى، كل شي وله نهاية دام كل به بديت. ابتسم للناس وارسم بالامل وجه الحياة، وانسى همك دام ربك يسمع كلام دعيت. ما يدوم الحال مهما طال يا بنادم مدى، كل شي وله نهاية.
Welcome back. I do hope you enjoyed the opening nasheed on the show this morning. We are now joined by Claudina Harvenshire. She's here to talk about her passion. And her passion is facilitation, training, and interacting with people and helping people tap into their power. This is what she is all about, and she's going to talk to us about her passion and hopefully take us on an amazing journey during the next 45 minutes or so. Good morning, welcome to the program.
Good morning and thank you for having me.
Lovely to have you here, and I know your passion is education, it is facilitation, it's training, it's to make people realize their potential. So you're all about have and share. You have something to give and you're wanting to share it with the whole world. But the have and share also comes from a very special place in your life.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
I can say one thing is the creator have sent me a husband with an Austrian name, Harvenshire. And that was already a very difficult one for a Afrikaans-speaking person who's younger. It was my surname. So Harvenshire was always that. But a very special man, humble man, and whatever he's having, he's sharing. And I think that quality of him is the one that made me say yes to the marriage proposal.
Wow.
And now, 30 years later, 2 miracle boys further, we have adopted this lifestyle of have and share. So for me, the natural thing that ties in with facilitation and giving back is the have and share personal branding. So that's what I did.
Bless you. God bless you.
Thank you very much.
Your business card has a story to it as
Yes,
well.
yes.
Would you like to share that with us? You can pick up the business card, show it up to the camera. It's black
Yes.
and white.
Yes.
And there's a story to it.
Yeah, part of the have and a share, if we can just for a moment be a little bit philosophical about have and share. To really want to have something, you have to be open with it. You must be mindful. It's not just in your life. And to really get that have and know that you need that is something special, and it takes effort. And it's not, I'm not referring to a have from a place of attitude or ego or all that. I'm talking about really having something. And if you have that something, or if you attain that something, the natural thing to do is you normally go and share it with somebody. Ooh, look what I have found. So you create a possibility of let others have what you have, and then they will share what they need to share. So that is a cycle that goes on and on.
It's true. What you're saying is so true, because we are often told by philosophers that what you put out in the universe, you get back, and what you get back, you put back out into the universe. So if you're blessed with much happiness, contentment, peace, abundance, you've got to put it back out into the universe. You can't hold on to it because the circle goes round, the circle turns all the time.
And that's exactly that. And what this business card is reminding me of, the best times in your life to really grow is in the darkest times. If you really think of a seed, if you put a seed and you place it in the ground, it's in the darkest place. You actually desert that seed. But that's the only place where that seed can change into a new form. And if you now resist that change, that seed will stay in the ground. So this card will always remind me of my dark spaces where I was. And the white letters on the card is saying to me, that's light. every day there is light. Doesn't matter in which dark place you are, there's somewhere something that will take you further. So that is the significance of the card. And then of course I believe the power of healing is in my own hands. Nobody can make that decision to get out of that dark place or improve but you.
What about being in a third-party situation? You've talked about depression, you've talked about the really dark space you were in. And you do now also say that the power of healing is in your own hands.
Yes.
But if you have a loved one who is in a very dark space, I also spoke about abundance and, you know, putting back into the universe.
Yes.
With your positive thinking and your prayers and you putting abundance and healing and mercy and forgiveness into the universe on behalf of your loved one, do you think that can work?
Yes. I think while they're loved one, a lot of people ask me, my sister or my brother is so depressed, and every time I speak with that person on the phone, I get resistance. I say, listen, a lot of the people that's in depression, and let's just talk teenagers, a lot of us as parents, when they get into the teenage world, you want to prevent them to get into that dark place because they must not get hurt. But unfortunately, it's the only place where they can grow. So you have to let them go. So if you're sitting with a loved one and they are in a dark space, just realize it's their dark space. And don't get pulled in by their dark space.
Because that's very easy.
And that's very
you can
easy.
get pulled in because they're
Yes.
hurting so badly.
Yes.
You're hurting. There's nothing you can do to fix it unless just be there to support them.
Yes.
But going back to putting abundant healing into the universe on behalf of them, that too, with the grace of the Almighty.
Yes,
With the
yes.
grace of the Almighty, that will work and can work.
Yeah, because remember, you're just an instrument. The fact that I went through a dark place and I could conquer that specific dark place, I need dark places constantly in my life, so I must embrace my dark place. I cannot curse my dark place. You must actually go and seek dark places because that's the only place where you can grow. Absolutely. Once you've outgrown that, you're just an instrument which is placed in the right place and time in that specific person's life, and all you can keep on doing is writing the white letters and giving the positive message. You cannot blame, you cannot get pulled in because you've conquered this, and you cannot go back there. So, and I believe, and as a facilitator, I believe that's all I'm doing. Wherever I am, if I'm with you or with a child or with a group of people, I'm just being placed there by the Almighty with the experience I have for that situation to touch, and I don't know who I need to touch. Yeah, I think the loved one issue is quite a difficult one because my family, we had to talk a lot. They had to know how to support me. They had to know empathy is there but no sympathy. And there's a difference between that. And I cannot say, and pull me through. They had to be there but not disrupt my seat and open it up and come and scratch in my dark place. Sometimes
not be on top of you all the time,
no.
not nag, not be over anxious.
No.
Just pray and just let the healing go forth into the universe, and it will touch all of those people that it needs to touch. So thank you for sharing that with us.
A pleasure.
And I think it's so valuable because we often talk about putting, paying it forward, putting back into the universe, touching people's lives positively, but it's the how. You need to know how to do it without being intrusive. That being said, your journey through MobiG, and we're also going to talk brainwave careers. You've had quite a life, haven't you?
Yes, very exciting
So
life.
what is MobiG all about?
MobiG, let me just go one step back. Let me say, all my wisdom and all my knowledge is also, it is created, my creator. I say everything that happens is because I was putting there. So the privilege I had is, because I'm a facilitator, and that's my talent, I had the opportunities to to work with various companies to facilitate. And two very special companies that I want to speak about, the MobiG and the Career Explorer, and especially today is to took me on journeys that's phenomenal. Now, what MobiG is a platform that's been created for youth, especially youth, because we do realize at the moment there's a lot and lots and lots of youth that is almost, we want to say, the lost generation. They are so bombarded with electronics, they are exposed to pressures, they don't have all the answers, there's peer pressures. And let's be honest, our most difficult time in our lives is from about 12 to about 25. S05, I want to say. You're suddenly getting into an age group where you are changing physically and mentally, and you become this very terrible person. Your mother say to you, "Hey Susie, what did you do with my daughter?" And then at the same time, the parents are struggling because they don't understand. So a lot of our youngsters get lost and they don't have answers, and the parents are not always the answer at that stage. So what MobiG did, they said, okay, let's look at the whole situation in our country, and we realized that we do not have enough centers, enough help, enough counselors, or people simply don't have the finances to go and do something. So they said, okay, what can we do to reach the youth? And they said, what do the youth have in their hands? Cell phones. So let's create an application that can be on their cell phones where they can be in contact with counselors on a daily basis. Doesn't matter what it is, if it is suicide or depression or... That was the intent of MobiG, and that is the app that they've created, the MobiG app. And from there, we are assisting more than 75,000 youngsters on a day on that app. And we became
on a daily basis.
Yes, on a daily basis. And MobiG is in collaboration with LifeJam, which is providing the counselors, and MobiG is the platform that's been created. And we're touching lives.
So what you're saying is that teenagers, young people, or even older people, if they want to make contact with a counsellor, they just go to this app, go to Play Store, I should imagine, download the app, and then they interact with the app. Are they going to have a real live person responding to them?
Yeah, how does app work, and that is the big success that we have found.
Okay, let's hold the thought. Okay. We're going to go for our first ad break. When we come back, let's talk about how the app works, just how, is it giving us meaningful results? Because I often wonder when you talk, even maybe via Skype, or you interacting via an app, are you not losing that personal touch? But more of that right after the ad break. Amazing discussion with an amazing woman. Her name is Claudina Havenshire, and we're here to talk about her life's journey, and that's about training and all the different things she's done in life, touching people's lives in a very positive way. Still to come on the show is the lovely Anissa Mazimpaka to talk about social justice in education. My guest is Claudina Havenshire. She's a facilitator, not only for corporate companies, but she goes into schools, township schools as well, and she does touch young people in a very big way. And of course, as you can see, through the MobiG app, she's talking about reaching young people who are unable to connect with anybody, who are in a very dark place and who need counseling. And MobiG has come about. Before you respond to my question from before the ad break, how did you become involved with MobiG?
I did career guidance for brainwave careers, and we did it for a company, F&B. We had to empower the girls. They had a girl project where we had to empower. And then I was being tasked to give them the career guidance, and I've met this wonderful lady, Steph, which is the designer and the founder of MobiG, and she had to do a 40-minute slot, and I had my 4 hours. And we had to travel the whole country. And as we traveled, we realized that she's the silent one, and I'm the talker, and that the MobiG is totally underrated and not exposed. So I got involved by starting to develop some talks with them based on the statistics they have on a daily basis. And I'm the voice. I go out in schools and I try to create awareness to make sure that they get access to the app. And that's how our paths met. And now we are a fully fledged business. So wherever we can, I speak and I try to motivate them because I saw the value of the app.
Coming back to my initial question. So are they talking to a real life counsellor, and how much time are they allowed with the counsellor? And let's assume they spend this time with the counsellor. What about continuity, because we know that whatever your issue is, it's not going to be fixed with one interaction via an app or even one visit to a counselor. There's an ongoing therapy that's happening here.
Yes, and it's exactly what's happening here, and that is the magic about this app. And it is an application. You download it on your phone. You go into the application, go to the free services, and then live chat. So I'm going to just take you through the process. You're on live chat, you're with a real live counsellor, but it's only text-based. Text-based, so there's no voice.
Brilliant.
So you as a counsellor can use another name. You can say you are Johnny, and I can say I'm Susie, for instance. So the fact that we don't use real names make the youth feel safe, that they can talk, that nobody can trace them, nobody knows who their story is. And what we have found, because of the fact that it's text-based and they can stay anonymous, within 3 minutes we get to the core of their problem. So what is happening, they have their chat, they get answered back, and if we sometimes find that the issue is too big for that specific counsellor, it's getting referred to a lawyer or whoever, because at that specific time that we have the app, there's a lot of people online that we can transfer. But now let's go further to answer the rest of your question. Now tonight I speak with Johnny, which is you. Then you will say to me, if you want to speak to me tomorrow night again, just ask for Johnny, and then the call will be transferred. A magic thing one story I want to like to share with you. We are currently having a girl that we now for 5 years have spoke with us every day. She doesn't have parents, and we got it so far to get her out of human trafficking without seeing her, and she's totally relying on our service. So we actually became her parents to give her guidance. She's studying at the moment, and I think our first physical intervention will come now, because we want to set her up to get a proper job.
And she's ready and happy to meet with you guys.
Yes. And the safety of it, everybody say yes, but they can trace my call. I said, okay, we know you in South Africa, we know you are in the East Rand, but if you don't tell us, you must come and pick me up at this address, I'm going to commit suicide. Then we assist you and we guide you, we cannot help you. So that's the safety of the app. So that is basically to the touch of your fingers, and you can talk. And I had the privilege, because I'm not a counsellor, they've opened up the backworks for me so that I can see the type of conversations. It is phenomenal, the help, but it is actually scary if we see the age group that's starting getting onto this app.
And the type of issues that they faced with.
It is.
How is the app? You said that you go to schools to promote and inform young people about the app and the value of this app. Has it? Well, obviously the stats speak for itself, but initially when you talk to the youngsters, are they forthcoming? Are they interested enough in getting more and more information?
Yes, but I think the safety of the app, I normally link the app with a talk. So for instance, I'll talk about the dark side of technology. It's about a 45-minute talk, and then I introduce the app for them. I show them how it works. I show it on a slideshow. I let them get in it, and then they have access to the app. I think the little bit of a constraint we have there, some of these youngsters use the app without their parents knowing, which is not too a bad thing. Rather go to our app than asking your friends. But parents sometimes feel like, what are they discussing? What is happening? And I think we want to try and change that. Don't fear the app. Don't fear it if your child goes outside and asks for additional help. You as parents...
Rather encourage them to use the app than to talk with their friends.
Yes, or if you don't have the courage to talk to your parents. So that is the message we try for the learners. And then for the parents, we say, don't fear the app. You can also use the app. And funny enough, we get more and more seniors using our app. Yeah.
And this is a free service,
you must
absolutely
have data.
free. How much time do you allow each person on the app? There's no limit, no time limit. No. Let's move on then to brainwave careers. And I also see that you have
a brain. Yes, I brought
on the table.
Yes.
So brainwave careers, and what's the reason for you having brought in that brain, the model of the brain?
Okay, the brain. The study of the brain and what the brain is all about came from my educational kinesiology background, which we possibly can discuss later. But what is amazing with the brainwave careers, we are touching learners to find their potential, to getting the best option for in the world of work. A lot of our grade 9s, 10s, 11s, 12s have no idea where to go. And part of what we test is we look at the interest of the learner, we look at their personality, but then we're also looking at the way they think. Now, we cannot do an x-ray of the brain to say, are you thinking from a logical point or a creative point? So normally we use this brain.
It's the whole concept around the left and right brained person.
Yes. So if you, for instance, are a more logical thinking type of person, careers like engineering and those careers will be much more suitable than maybe an artist. So in the with the brainwave career
Did you want to split that apart and show us something?
Yeah, I can do that when we talk about the educational kinesiology part, because it's going to make a little bit more sense. If I can just touch on the brainwave career aspect, is there's a lot of workshops where we touch youth all over the world, or all the country, will I say, to give them a path of what to choose after they're going to study. If you're stuck in school and you don't perform in school, is there other options? And what's wonderful about the Brainwave Career Company, it's also an NPO company, is they also offer an application or an app that we give in the learner's hands where they can actually go, and we call it the Career Explorer. And Brainwave Career have partnered up with Investec. That the two companies put their heads together, they've created this app, and learners, after we're done with the workshop with them, they can actually go onto our application and even ask us more questions, and there's also life counsellors supporting them as long as they want, also free of charge. So yes, so that's the two wonderful gifts I want to give to the audience and say, please go to Play Store and download these apps.
I've heard of kinesiology,
yes,
but I haven't heard of education or educational kinesiology. Explain the concept to us.
Educational kinesiology basically is, we say we want to assist people to unlock their limitations. So they've got a lot of us have blocks or something hold us back to reach our potential. So normally how we do it is
and even before you show us the brain again,
yes,
and splitting it apart,
yes,
what does kinesiology mean in layman terms?
Layman terms is we are working with the body, and educational kinesiology mean is what do you need to do with your body to promote learning and positive mindset. So that's what we do. And the way we do it is we set a goal, we look at what is hampering you or what is the block, we give you techniques to remove the block, and that is like a bridge to new learning, to a new mindset.
Now, how are you different to a kinesiology practitioner? What is it that they're doing differently to you that you've had to come and introduce this concept?
I think that kinesiologists are working on the body a lot. They touch and they do meridian massage, and they've got a lot of points, and they work with energy fields. I think the educational part is more that we do the concept of brain gym. Brain gym is where you actually do movements to help the body to relax so that you can be open. And that can bring me to the brain, is because when you have any form of stress in your body, you are hampering your whole process. It's like almost you're driving a car with two flat wheels. First, you have the only thing you're going to get this vehicle, this body moving, is you need to pump up the two tires. And that is where we educate people to look at their own bodies and not somebody that's doing all the exercises for them.
I love the analogies that you use in explaining all of this. And you have to use those type of analogies so that young people can understand what you're talking about, and they can relate. Otherwise, the concept will be very, very foreign to them. So how do you work? Is it you directly, or is it, who is it that works with these children, tapping into their potential and showing them what is possible in their lives?
Yeah, I work with that directly. From you can work from months, baby size, creche, teenagers, parents, everybody you can work. It's the same techniques that applies to everybody. So if I can just quickly show you something on the brain.
Yep.
We all have stress, and that is not even that's one common denominator because we have a stress hormone in our bodies called cortisol.
Yes.
Now, cortisol is not all that bad. You need cortisol for you stress, to get you going, to get you out, to want you to do something. But unfortunately, we are functioning on 98% of cortisol in our bodies. And
As opposed to?
As opposed to not.
At all. Well, not at all, but a certain
little
percentage.
bit. You must actually, in the olden days, they've killed, they went out, they hunt, they relaxed, and it's fine. We hunt every moment. Our bodies believe every day, every moment we have fear because that's what we do. And how this basically works is, here you feel something or something happens with you that's out of the ordinary. It can be a thought. It can be as simple as a thought.
Yes.
Or an occasion. Or, oh, I've got something new I want to do.
Anxiety.
Or I want to learn something new. It can be even excitement. Oh, I'm getting married. Or that causes the cortisol, the stress hormone, to get activated. Fine, but then it's supposed to be activated, it's done its thing, the engine has started. Now we have to, and no, we don't go. We keep on. So what's happening when the stress hormone is being used too much? The following. The cortisol is getting into the system. Let me just talk body first before I get to the brain. It's getting into the system, it's getting into the colon, and your colon say, but this is foreign. They start attacking it. So they leave, the little soldiers on the gut wall, leaving their posts, fighting the cortisol, which you have created. And in that process, they lose their guard and other things can come in. So that's where the beginning stages start of irritable bowel syndrome and the leaking and all of that, if you prolong it. So your own system fights this, but I think the most
because you're not mastering your situation.
You're not mastering your situation.
You need to do it. All right.
Yes.
We'll have to come back to that brain again. We're going to take another ad break. Yes. You can keep it on your, you can keep it with you, but let's go for an ad break. We'll come back and talk about educational kinesiology and how we and how you can help get the best out of us and our children. Yes. Fascinating woman, fascinating subject. Hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. Don't go away. We'll be talking some more to her right after the ad break. Claudina Havenshire is my guest. We started out talking about have and share, then Moby G, brainwave careers, and now we are talking educational kinesiology. Fascinating stuff. And we're going to go back to the issue where she says she can even work with babies or 2-year-olds. But first, let's get done with brain power. We stopped at cortisol and the impact it has on our colon. Yes. So do you just want to complete that thought and then talk about the brain?
Right. Yeah, so the cortisol, so if the whole process is now damaging the colon is upset and unhappy. And I know I'm also a very good guinea pig and I know what's happening. I need to keep this colon happy. Amazingly, in my journey, battling with a mental illness, normally you are bombarded with a lot of medicine. And I'm not saying today there's not a space for medicine. There is definitely a space to use medicine. But what I've discovered in my research and my passion about my body and understanding my mental illness and the tools I have is that 95% of the feel-good hormone serotonin is formed in your gut.
Ooh.
So imagine now you have all this cortisol overflow into the gut, you make the gut sick, the gut is not doing its thing, it's not producing enough serotonin, the yeast infections is starting, and so the whole thing. So where does this all start? So cortisol create a wonderful thing. They are the stress hormone to, in a way, protect this body. Because these two brains, your reptilian brain and your emotional brain, they like a pact. Their task is to keep this body happy. They need you to breathe, your heart must beat. So their main function is to make this body 100% functional. They will fight tooth and nail to keep it alive. So if you are in a stressful situation or a thought of something is happening, immediately these two think. They need to quickly get water, get it to the legs so you can get into action to either fight, flight or freeze or handle the situation. So I call them actually the toddler brain. They throw a tantrum, which is good. So by the time you see somebody cry or by the time somebody is lashing out, you must know there's something in their bodies that's not happy. So they don't care about the brain, the part of the brain that we as humans have, the thinking. So we need to do something to make these two brains happy, that there's enough water, there's enough movement, it's okay, we are fine, so that we can access this wonderful part, the new cortex, where we need to think and make decisions. And that's the basis of the educational kinesiology, is to teach people, to train people what to do to get these two to calm down so that you can have access to the top brain to do things.
So do you want to give us a few quick tips, of 3-5, steps that one should try and, shift our thinking when we feel very highly stressed or anxious?
Yes.
How do we shift our thoughts, our thinking, so that we are in almost a safe space?
Yes. The magic exercise which I always share on power hours, when I do power hours, is the following one. We call it Cook's Hookups. It's a brain gym exercise from Paul Dennison. It's one of the techniques I use. I'm simply going to try and demonstrate. So the purpose of this exercise is you're going to take your hands like this, for instance, and you sit like this. You cross your legs. So why we're sitting like this is when you're anxious, when your toddler brain is in action, it immediately raises your heartbeat because there must be more blood flow in the system so that you can react. So the whole idea of this exercise is let's calm the heart down. And it's been proven with the EKG machine that as soon as the heart goes like this and people goes into this movement, your heart rates drop. And if the heart rates get calmer and these two brains are calmer, you actually have more access to possibilities, to more oxygen to the brain. So we sit like this, we breathe in, so we take the breath so that it's calming us, the heart rate gets calm, and if the heart's calm, the mind will calm down. But now, the magic of this exercise, I did it a lot with very, very busy toddlers as well as even CEOs. Now they're sitting in my rooms, but they sit and they're uncomfortable. They do not like this exercise, they complain, they feel stress. You know why it's not working? Here you try to calm the heart down, but you refuse to stop this thinking. And
that's difficult
and it's
to
difficult. You know what?
What's the trick? What is the trick? How do you calm down this very busy mind?
Focus in the now. I actually was diagnosed one day by one of my people that assist me with compulsive obsessive thinking. And the woman said to me, she said, after the 20th session, she said, Larina, I've got one word. Stop thinking. I said, what? How is it possible to stop thinking? And after 3 years of practicing in my car with techniques, I can manage to sit for 5 minutes not thinking about anything. But it is a conscious effort. And let me give you one secret. The only way that you can really be totally in charge of your whole body is to be present. I challenge a lot of people with, you cannot think in the now. You cannot think enough. If I say think of something, it's either that's something that happened or what's going to happen next. So when you're in the now, you're totally here, now, feeling the present. And guess what? Nothing that can happen here right now with us, we won't be able to handle. But the anticipation of what can happen, we cannot handle. Mm-hmm. So if this roof must fall in today on top of us, we'll handle it. But if we know or suspect it's going to happen, it's a different story.
Okay.
You need to be in the present. And this exercise calms your heart down and you are forced to be now. But if you try to do this and still think, it's not working. And that's one of 26 exercises.
That's the educational kinesiology. Yes. I'm wondering how this would work with ADHD children.
Perfect. But before that, we prepare them. We've got a 4-step exercise called PACE what we introduced. So we first let them drink water. And then once they've drink water, we know they've got enough oxygen in their body. Then we have a magic buttons we touch here. We call it Cook's Hookups. By stimulating these buttons, we get the blood flow to get to the brain. And then we need these two brains that I've showed to talk to each other. We do it with a cross-crawl movement because we have found lately that our children didn't crawl enough. So we're doing this movement that they get this activated, and then we do this. All 4 of the exercises get them ready and put them in the now and get them calmer. But with ADHD children, there's a lot of other techniques that we need to use. But there's a lot of natural techniques before we go over into a more serious intervention.
You spoke about babies. You spoke about even being able to work with babies as a kinesiologist. 2-year-old or 1-year-old's problems are going to be going forward.
Yes.
What is it that you're going to come in, assess, and then do with this baby? I'm also thinking about the very active child and the very demanding child and the very controlling child. That might be a different matter altogether. Or is it, in fact, those issues that you would be addressing? And children who are wanting to be entertained perhaps all of the time, because we are living in the instant age. So how is kinesiology, educational kinesiology, going to help these children? And what sort of result can we hope to get?
First of all, educational kinesiology and the techniques we use is like vitamins. If you don't use it, it's going to not work. Okay. So it is a daily practice that we need to do.
Meaning that once I undertake this for my children,
yes,
I'm going to have to oversee it for the rest of their lives, or until they're able to take over on their own?
Yeah, like a baby. A baby cannot do a cross-crawl movement, for instance. But we show the mother, for instance, take the arm of the baby and put it on the leg. And the same is happening with elderly people or sick people or people that cannot move. You do these exercises for them. I think in terms of the educational part, when we work with any parent or any person, the education part is to show them why we are doing this movement, why are you doing it, and in the understanding of what's happening and understanding that the physical working on the body can resolve a lot of issues. So the education part of kinesiology is to equip you to understand why you should do this.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it's just going to be a movement and then you're not going to
And if you don't understand it, you won't be
No.
practicing it
No.
religiously.
Yes.
I'm wondering if this would perhaps, all right, so if a mom comes to you with a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old
Yes.
and wanting to let her baby undergo these exercises, how is it going to, and let's assume there's no problems, there's a healthy, well-adjusted little baby, how are the kinesiology exercises going to serve and help this child? There are no problems, remember we said.
Yes, there's no problems. We don't move enough. We simply don't move enough. Let's just look at the birth. Has the baby been born naturally or was it a cesarean? There's a lot of studies done to do. If a baby was born by cesarean, there's a lot of the motions which the baby had to go through, which was not in place. A lot of the reflexes that the baby need was not in place. And that's what we need to do. There's no perfect birth. There's no perfect anything. There's no perfect. So we are all exposed. That first fall on your knees, or the baby fell, or the baby was bumped. There is so many factors that can influence this body to not function the way it will. So we all have a bit of issues, but by training the body to do the correct movements at the correct time and strengthening those muscles. But remember, because if I do a cross crawl, I also strengthen the neurons in the brain. And the more I strengthen the neural pathways of the brain, the more the messages go through. So if a child struggles with reading, there is an issue. There's something in this body that needs to be, that the connections is not made well. And in the process of doing the kinesiology brain gym exercises, we strengthen it. So even if you are a 50-year-old and you struggle to focus and you're losing focus, let's get that neurons talking. And you cannot stimulate, you need to do a physical thing in the body to get that right.
It's Mental Health Awareness Month,
Yes.
and one of the forthcoming interviews that I'm going to be doing is on dementia. And you're now talking about 50 or elderly people who need stimulation. I'm wondering how exercise and kinesiology would play a role as far as dementia is concerned, but I'm going to allow you to think about that. We'll come back right after the ad break. Okay. So that's an important question that I think we all want answered. We are seeing more and more of dementia presenting in our communities, and we are told by medical professionals that this is happening simply because we are living longer. Our quality of lives have improved because access, obviously, to finances, medical care, etc., etc. So we are leading healthy, good quality lives, but it also means that we are living longer. Are we meant to be living that long? We're not sure, but because we're living that much longer, we are beset with other complications in life, like dementia. And let's see what Claudine comes up with to that in response to that question. fascinating person talking about the most amazing things on the show this morning. We have her here for a few minutes more, and the question I put to her before the ad break was the issue around dementia. Now, we do know she's not a medical doctor. She's just done lots and lots of research on her own. But I wondered about the issue around kinesiology and physical exercise, and probably a very healthy and well-balanced diet. Would this perhaps stave off early onset of dementia? Or if you are in dementia already, if that's the right terminology, leading a very healthy lifestyle, would that perhaps lessen the impact or the effects of dementia? Over to you.
Julie, like you said, I'm not an expert on the dementia, but I know some of my colleagues in the field of the educational kinesiology is working with dementia patients with huge success. Yes, I do believe eating right, doing exercise has a tremendous plus point for you in your life, because it's good for the body. But the mind power, the mind that you have, the self-talk, that destructive self-talk, or that unsolved issue that you keep on bombarding yourself, that link there also needs addressing. And I think on my journey, which I had to do with my mental illness, first of all, I started off just depending on medication and trying to do the substance and eating healthy and doing those things. I never went for counseling, because I thought, no, who can tell me anything I know? I'm an educational kinesiologist. I know all of this. What can any counselor tell me? So I focused on the medicine part, eating healthy, getting all of that in place. For 10 years, I was in a rat race. And every 6 weeks or every 6 months, now the medication needs to change. Then it takes 6 weeks where I need to go through all of it again to start the process again. And so I carried on for 10 years.
And your support system, what was it like?
I had a phenomenal support system. My family was all the way with me. They know how to not do and do. And then we have a very phenomenal group of people that is carrying us. So, but what I found is, with all that health, with all that, I can't keep on falling back into that black pit where I have to literally crawl out on my own.
How functional were you at the time?
I tried to be very functional.
You were still working?
And that's why the main thing of the Have and Share brand is I would like to help people to cope with pressures when they perform under pressure, when they're on this place. And that's why I do the power hours, and that's why I do this intervention. But just to tap up on the question with the dementia and with the physical activeness and all of that, that unsolved issues which was been bestowed on me when I was small, which I could not handle. It's like I didn't have any sieve or any protection for what was being thrown onto me. And the fact that I never dealt with that, and the fact I never talked about it and really worked through that, all of this physicalness could not really bring the complete healing. So it's absolutely holistic. So that I strongly believe, although I'm not an expert in dementia and all of that, if you really suffer with something, it's not just a one-side approach. There's a lot of approaches that we need to do and look at, and I can testify to my own life. So yes, I did have a bit of counseling, and with the two people in my life.
What made you decide then eventually to go to counseling?
I was tired of this constantly falling back. And one thing the medication did to me is it made me numb. I felt I lost my passion. I was not like this. I was a living soul. I functioned, and I wanted to get out of that. I wanted to see, is there any possibility that I can lessen my medication, eat more healthy? And I did it to extent, but then realized I cannot get rid of this crux if I'm not going to start dealing with the stuff that I run away from. And that's where the mental stuff comes in. And that's where I'm so passionate to touch people, to make them say, listen, you have a stress brain profile. Your body goes into a certain mode if you're in stress. Realize that you only have half of your availability. What can you do? Get your body calm so that you can function better. With the exercises, with the food, with the thing. That's the only thing, that's the whole approach that I try, the message that I'm trying to give to the markets.
Let's look at the issue around, and we'll still stick with stress now. We all have issues that we deal with on a daily basis.
Yes.
It might be, a horrible boss. It might be finances. It might be the fact that your child's school is too far away from home, so that stresses you out every morning. You need to get this child to school on time. Or you have a loved one who is sick and you worry about this person all the time. So you're in a constant state of stress or anxiety. Is it one and the same thing, stress and anxiety?
No, I think I can separate because I know both.
So you'll separate it and we'll talk about it. So we're in this constant state of anxiety and stress. And what we don't realize is that we are depleting the goodness from our bodies and our souls. If we don't look after ourselves, love ourselves, let go of all of that, we can be loving and healthy, and we can then deal with whatever is around us. Is that possible? How do we go about doing it?
It's so wonderful to ask me this. I train a lot, especially when I do training in corporates. Is only two emotions we have in life: fear or faith, or fear or love. Fear or love. You can either fear or you love.
And love is obviously linked to faith.
If love, faith, all those goodness. Fear, if you fear, and if you are not okay here with you, and then all these other stresses will even stress you out more. So the whole story that I gave to people is, I say, here I'm sitting with a remote control, okay? The remote control is my will, my life, my being. As soon as I fear, I give you the remote control, and you are still busy pressing my buttons. So take back your remote control, go into the love, have trust in yourself, and it's very difficult to do that. So I believe the stresses outside is even worse if you cannot cope with your inner stress. Mm-hmm. So to answer your question, before, normally when people say, I've got so stressed, my boss, and I said, okay, but before we start there, let's quickly look at you. Where are you? Do you go from love, or are you manage your love out of fear? And just remember,
you've touched on something very important. Yes. Are you managing out of love or out of fear?
Yes.
And that's very, very crucial. But it's easier said than done. It's very difficult to do.
Difficult, yes.
If you're worried about a horrible boss or a sick loved one, how do you switch, move away from a position of fear to a position of love?
I'm going to come back to be in the present. Be in the now. Realize I'm handling the situation wrong. Once I'm finished with a workshop with a group of women or a group of people, and I train them, I literally train them on faith, on fear and love and faith. I train them on that. I show them what it is. We do practical exercises, but everything boils down to you have to be aware every moment. And today I can say to you, I'm so grateful for the mental illness that is still with me. I every day, every moment have a choice. Am I give into it or not? Yes, I've conquered. I'm going to be saying with hard work. I'm on no medication at the moment, but I have to eat healthy. I have to live. But every second of the day I get reminded, am I going to take the situation and fall back, or am I going to take the situation and grow? Am I going to be fearful and give away my power, or am I going to do it from love? And I can only do it when I'm cat foot and in the present, because the more I'm trying to live or avoid the present, the life goes by me, and before I know it, a lot of people have drawn me into things. I didn't stop, and then I'm sitting here and I think I'm feeling so depressed. What's happening with me? Then I really think I was not there. I was listening to that person half and half. I didn't realize, I didn't see the road when I went home. I was in my own thinking, so worried about what happened at work, instead of being in the car, enjoy the journey. And the more I'm in my thinking, the more I'm prone to be in this fear. And eventually I just have this anxiety, just to talk about that now. Depression is one thing. Anxiety, you start feeling it here.
That sick feeling, the pit of your tummy.
You don't get breath, you're not feeling control. So what I've done, and that's why I've got my wonderful husband, is I've learned, here comes anxiety. And if I could not control it, it will end up with me totally in panic stations. Now, I learned to
And that
phone
gives you
in.
sleepless nights as well.
Yes, yeah, because you get this fear. You fear things that's not realistic. I will sit here and think, suddenly fear, is my boys okay? Are they in an accident? You think of these unrealistic things.
And you let it play crazy movies in your mind.
Yes, and then eventually you're totally out of control. And the only way for me, then I found my husband say, I can feel it starting. You say to me, listen, feel the sun. We are going to feel the sun on your body. Hear what you hear. Just quickly focus on that. Breathe quickly. Don't focus on your breathing. Just do that for a couple of minutes. And within 2 minutes, stop the thinking. Just, okay, here's the sun. I'm sitting in this chair. Just breathe. Here's the light. Okay. And then only can you start getting reality happen. There's no other way of handling anxiety. I have to be in the present to manage it. Because the more I'm thinking, the worse it's getting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's really about what we spoke about early on in the interview, about putting out love, abundance, calmness, ridding yourself about with stress and anxiety. Don't even give it a name. Just ask for continued peace, calmness, love. Ask for it into your life and put it out into the universe as well. And just be hopeful and faithful and in faith that whatever the issues are, obviously, is going to come right.
Yeah, if
you need to be walking through this journey, whatever it is in your life, in this point of time. Because in all of this that we've talked about, there's a learning that's happening. And when when you look back, you must realize what it was that you'd been through and what you've taken out of it, what you've learned from this journey, however long it's been.
Yes. And that is the have and share concept. And what I want to say, if you, like I say to everybody that's doing a workshop with me or walking into my practice, I say, are you ready for me? Because if you're done with me, I am giving you a tool. You cannot say when you're done with me or we're in my workshop, I did not give you the tool. Are you really ready for this tool? Yes. I say, are you sure? Because if I've given you this tool, you have the accountability and the responsibility to go and do this tool. And I promise you, my tools are not easy. So if you want to really live in abundance and you want to change and out of a vision of love, you're setting yourself up for hard work and you get tested every second of the day. And that's what I want to say. That's the journey that you need.
It's been absolutely fascinating talking to you. I've had such a wonderful time chatting with you here. You've truly opened up my eyes and my mind to a whole new world of possibilities. And I sincerely hope you've done the very same for you, our esteemed viewers. But having said that, if someone wants to engage with you, they're not a corporate, they're not a school, it's just a single person out there or a group of friends who'd like to have a workshop with you. Is that a possibility? Yes. And how do they get hold of you?
Well, I have a website with a couple of things that I try to do. Like you can see, my life is very diverse. I'm my brand, so they can contact me they can go and visit my website. I don't know if you want me to give the website address.
Please do.
www. and then have and share.co.za. So you write out the word have and share. That's
as simple as that.
As simple as that. Or you can contact me on my phone, or you can just literally leave a message on the website. And my phone number is 082 802 5941.
Absolutely wonderful. You're a breath of fresh air, and
you,
truly
Julie.
I think you've given the viewers and myself lots and lots and lots to think about, and we're going to start changing the way we think, and we're going to be in absolutely the present to truly appreciate this God-given gift, which is life.
Thank you very much, Julie. I
Thank you indeed.
Good.
And there you have it, the amazing Claudine Havenscher talking to us about a whole host of concepts. We covered have and share, Moby G, brainwave careers, career exploration, and ended off with educational kinesiology. I was mesmerized by her, and I sincerely hope that you got lots of value out of it. Thank you so much for being with us on this part of the show. Don't go away. Another amazing young woman coming in to talk about educational activism or social justice in education. And And finally, to the final segment of the show this morning. It's going to be a very short interview, unfortunately, but we will have this amazing guest come in again sometime soon to have a more in-depth discussion. Her name is Anissa Mazim Parker, and she's here to talk about social justice through education. Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the program.
Walaikum salam, Jazakallah for having me.
Lovely to have you here. I know that you're at UJ, you're doing your postgrad.
Yes.
Is that right? In
Yes.
what?
In public policy and African studies.
Okay, this is going to be your third degree, am I right?
Yes, it is approaching my third
Alhamdulillah,
postgrad.
may you grow from strength
Jazakallah.
to strength. You're here to talk about social justice through education.
Yes.
What is it about and why are you so passionate about it?
Okay, so what social justice through education looks at, I think it's unique to South Africa's perspective. If we look at South Africa and the inequality, the social gap that exists in South Africa, we need stuff like social justice through education.
And the gap, Ma, for
Yes.
the interruption, the
It's
gap
okay.
is because of
The social
apartheid.
yes, it definitely,
obviously.
and those are where the social inequalities were created. So now, what social justice through education seeks to do is, I think, when you have a gap so large, you have people at one end of the spectrum and people at the other end of the spectrum. So what social justice through education seeks to be is be the bridge between those who know and those who do not know, those who might not necessarily understand why certain people go through certain phases in their life, why certain people experience certain things, probably because they're at a point of privilege. So social justice through education is there to educate us, to enrich us, and say, okay, you're at this end of the spectrum. This is why people are at this end of the spectrum. Let's help alleviate society and South Africa at large.
How do you disseminate this information?
Yeah.
And obviously, how do you identify your target audiences?
Okay, so the target audience would be the marginalized society of South Africa, and disseminating the information would be through the youth. In spaces like Varsity, we have very educated people who are willing to sacrifice their time, give their knowledge of what they have learned, go back deep down into the communities and educate the marginalized people who we look at, who form majority of the country, by the way. So by social justice through education, once we educate a larger part of the country, alleviating this, bringing ourselves to an equal standard, if we can achieve that, then we start growing things like the South African economy and looking at Africa at large.
It's a long, hard road ahead from what
Definitely.
I'm hearing you say, because it's one thing informing, educating
Yeah.
the rural population or the uneducated masses in the country.
Yes.
But what comes after that? It's fine to give them all of this information, but there has to be something more tangible. And what is that tangible?
So I think it would be, I think if we look at the inequality that I spoke about, I think there's a lot of tension that goes around underground within the country. So it's first and foremost just creating that peace, that great atmosphere out of it. So what social justice through education gets to do is, once we have the impoverished population at a state of equality and equity that are able to sustain themselves, then we get to see all these challenges that we're facing in the country diminish slowly, and that should be the end product.
Starting point, apart from the information that you're going to share with
Yeah.
them, don't you think that an expectation is raised that it's more than just information?
Yes.
These impoverished communities want more.
Yes.
They want food on the
Yes,
table.
definitely.
They want education. They want employment. They
Definitely.
want good paying jobs, etc. Is there not that expectation that that's going to have to come from you
Like
as
you
well?
say, it's a very huge expectation, but that is something that we're willing to dedicate our lives towards championing. Like you say, if we can equip people with information and that leads to unemployment, probably they become employed. We speak of things like township economies, where we take the economy back to townships. We give them that ability to circulate the money within that circle.
And let me just stop you there with township economies. We know that there's this huge informal economy
Yes.
that is very vibrantly up and about in the townships. We're talking all of these spaza shops, etc.
Yes.
Is that your thinking, or are you thinking big scale, high scale economies in like proper factories, proper shops, proper stores, etc.?
like you say, the proper shops, the proper factories, manufacturing, all done by the townships. Spaza shops is a great start. So when we speak about manufacturing companies, for example, we use the people of the community to start up that manufacturing company, for example. We employ the people of that community. The people of that community buy from there, and then that's where that economy is created that contributes to the greater South Africa.
The one big thing about that is, as in the past, let's go back to the apartheid era, is that black people were thrown very far away from their places of work.
Definitely.
And I mean, even in this day and age, you're having people having to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, probably catching 3 different taxis at 3 different points just to get to work. And that's the type of hardship I'm hoping that social justice through education is going to address. Because I mean, it's inhumane expecting someone to leave there. So if they're having to catch their first taxi at 4 o'clock in the morning, means they've got to rise at 3 o'clock in the morning. It also tells us that they have absolutely no family life.
Exactly.
Because by the time they get home in the evening, they're too exhausted to even interact with anyone back home.
That is for sure. And that's exactly what social justice through education is. The information you just disseminated, many people don't know that. They take it for granted that once they see a worker get to work on time, they do not know how many hours, how many modes of transport that person had to catch in order to be there. They don't know that that person has sacrificed their family life. So what social justice through education seeks to do is to make knowledgeable to people what people actually sacrifice. And also, like you say, the person that catches the modes of transport early in the morning could just walk a few kilometers if the township provided for a means of sustainability.
If it's vibrant enough, if we take all of that resources into the townships and make it accessible to the people so that they can have a better quality of life. So who are the people driving social justice through education? And I hope and pray that you guys have got government on board as well.
So we're hoping to get government on board. We are actually going to launch a non-profit organization in order to formalize this whole thing. And once we have not just government, actually, government has to be a main stakeholder.
We
have big businesses, the private sector, we get the people involved and ultimately let the people drive this so that we can emancipate South Africa, we can emancipate Africa. And we'll see the world later, but South Africa first.
Okay, so this is, how long has this been in the making?
So the social justice through education has been my, I don't want to say lifelong. So when I got to varsity, when I realized that we have a need to have social justice through education. So it's been something I've been driving, but now I'm pushing the agenda even further.
Who are you partnering with, or how many other young people are on board with you?
So I have my team. I was part of a show called One Day Leader, and they ran my campaign and stuff. So this is the team that I have behind me, my comrades, my family, my friends. So this is currently the team that I have, and we're currently seeking to lobby the youth of South Africa with us. We're targeting high school learners because that's the youth, that's the future of the country, but it's mainly driven by the youth, like I say, the future of the country. And we'll see where that goes, inshallah.
I mean, like lots of other amazing ideas and change drivers in our country, you hear a lot about it in the initial stages, and then sadly, somewhere along the way, it peters out and dies. What sort of assurances, I'm not even going to say guarantees, what sort of assurances, do we have that this is truly going to happen? Or someone doesn't come along, another NGO or NPO comes along and hijacks the idea and gives it a totally new face, and before you know it, it just changes that whole initiative, and it then perhaps along the way dies out or just changes face completely.
That's one of the fears we have, but I don't think we can allow that to set us back. What I can be assured of is the people I'm working with are the people I've worked with during my student leadership. And these are people that have been able to carry the mandate for at least 2 or 3 consecutive years. So if they could carry that consistently, then Inshallah.
So you have trust in them.
Definitely, that's
Your
the most
closing
important
remarks.
thing.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time.
No, it's just social justice through education. I mean, we all need to learn how to live with one
And
another.
be aware of it.
And
Do you have
be
a
aware of
website?
it. Not yet, not
Okay.
yet. I do have my social handles. It is Anisa Mazimpaka on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
Okay,
and
we'll
everywhere
follow
across.
you. Thank you indeed
Do
for being with
that.
us, and you owe us another interview.
For sure.
A dynamic young lady. There's so much more to her than just social justice through education. But unfortunately, due to time constraints, we weren't able to explore all of that. We certainly promise we're going to bring this young lady back on set to talk some more to us and inspire the youth of our community and South Africa. That's the show for today. Thank you so much for your company. Till the next time, as always, please, please, please take care on the roads. And a big thank you to the production team. And as always, it is Assalamu Alaikum and Khuda Hafiz from me, Julie Alli.
قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا، حني قلبي على جمعة الخير.